Welcome to Mike Nerichlo Online, sharing my love for people, wine, food, and all things made passionately. I hope I was pointing at the camera. So today's show, doing a little bit of a blind tasting with a twist, we'll call it. Yeah, usually the paper bag is on the bottle. Whatever. We're trying something new. So today, I've got Mike Ratchin here. Mike, say hi.
Hello.
He's the other Mike. A lot of people, you don't see him on camera as often. Everybody out there sees him off camera all the time. We're half the time known as Mike and Mike. Anyway, Mike Ratchin's here. He's going to help me out. We're tasting some BC ports. And BC ports you don't often hear of. So I'm really excited to try this. And I guess I can't say BC port. We'll have to say BC port style. But we're doing it blind. We've got 3. And we're going to see how they play out. We'll kind of do a first, second, and third place. So anyway, that's why Mike is here. He's going to hand me the wine, so obviously I can't see them or doing anything I'm doing. So let's get right into it. Mike, what's the first one you've got for me?
Alright, you ready? Well, I'm not going to say.
Okay.
So,
and Mike could really screw with me on it. See, I got the glass. We're good so far.
Here we go for the audience here.
Hopefully he just showed you what the bottle was, so you know what I'm tasting. I have no idea. And hopefully he's not screwing with me. He's going to throw some white wine in here or something. Anyway, here's to the first one. And you notice I'm cut out, I've got the nose hole and the mouth hole. Those are well needed, very necessary for tasting. Okay, so the first one. It smells pretty sweet. Definitely give it that. There's a lot of, like, I would say raspberry, strawberry kind of preserve jamminess coming through almost. Just off the aroma, I can almost say it smells somewhat viscous, like a lot of sugar. But that's a port thing. There's a lot of residual sugar left over in port after fermentation. When they stop the fermentation by adding brandy, make it slightly higher alcohol, an interesting, fun dessert wine. It's definitely interesting. I'm going to try this one out. A lot of kind of cherry skeiner, almost maraschino cherry, kind of that brightness. Okay, first one. Interesting. This is, okay, the nose reflects a few different things, but on the palate, this is black currant reserve. That's what it is. Black currant preserve, sorry. It's like black currant jam. Don't taste a whole lot more than that. Maybe a hint of like black coffee or something like that, but black currant preserve. And this is like on toast with a cup of coffee next to it. Wow. It's very viscous. It's quite syrupy. Very, very sweet. Very yummy, we'll put it that way. Kind of misses the mid-palate a little bit, but definitely a treat. This one, though, you couldn't drink a whole lot of because it's quite sweet. Interesting wine. So I'm supposed to put this near the bottle, let Mike kind of put it near the bottle, and we'll get the next one. So that was the wine, the first wine.
Okay,
next
wine
one,
number 2.
Next one's here? Okay, awesome. All right.
Here we go, wine number 2.
Whoa. Totally different wine than the first one. Okay, the nose on this one, wow, it's got a really neat spice to it and a nuttiness. I'm going to venture to say sort of almost walnutty, almost more, what's right, maraschino, not maraschino, macadamia nut, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, it almost reminds you of like a macadamia nut liqueur. It's nutty and chocolatey. Like you're taking a macadamia nut, mix it with some milk / dark chocolate. Reminds me of a dessert I had recently. Very interesting wine. Ooh, okay. On the palate, this one is definitely not as viscous, not as heavy or syrupy. It's a thinner palate, but it's almost got a bit more going on. Like the whole mouthfeel's there. It's much more tart than the first, and quite acidic actually. This would do quite well with your foods, your thicker, heavier desserts. Interesting wine. It's got a bit of like I'm definitely going to say like a dark chocolate, kind of that same bitterness that you get with like a really earthy dark chocolate. And maybe almost a hint of sort of tannin or something. Interesting port style wine, but this one almost seems like it could use a bit more time in the bottle. I like it right now. I think it needs food or something. Yeah, but I think it could use more time. But yeah, I like that one too. Let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
So hopefully Mike's showing you guys the bottles. My glass here.
Glasses here.
Awesome. Where?
Glass
Oh,
number
there we go.
3.
Awesome.
And bottle number 3.
Bottle number 3. I can't see. This is
There you
weird.
go.
Can't see anything. Whoa. You gotta give me a second with this one. Glass feels heavier. Did you put more wine in this one? Okay, this one is loaded with... This reminds me of like grape jelly, almost. Grape jelly meets... I'm just gonna taste it. Wow. That's a different port style. That's very different. This has got like an interesting sort of spice to it. I'm going to say it's halfway between the two of the other ones as far as viscosity and sweetness. It's more... Yeah, it's got the acidity, but not as bright as the second wine I tasted. It's got a lot of different mouthfeel. Not terribly sure what to make of this one. It's a little bit disjointed. Still tasty. They're all three have been tasty. They got that sweetness to them, which is kind of hard to resist. But this one's more almost like, it reminds me of ground coffee or coffee grounds. And wow, and almost I'm going to venture to say kind of hazelnut on this one. Like, you know those, you ever have those seashell chocolates or seashell candies and they have that hazelnut filling? It reminds me of that, but yeah, also fairly simple. Got some neat spice to it. A nice integrated sweetness. Yeah, okay. Wine number 3. Let Mike deal with the glass there. Can I taste wine number 2 again?
Wine number 2.
Yeah, wine number 2
Okay,
again.
there you go.
Thank you. Oh, it's a tough call with all these. Okay, I really want to know what I'm tasting, but before I do so, I'm going to say which ones I like the most. I think wine number 2 has the most potential of the port style, but I think it needs to lie down for a bit longer. It's very interesting. I think it's got the most going on in your mouth, most complexity. Definitely, I'm waiting to find something more with it. Wine number 1 is super sweet. So I'm definitely going to say, I think wine number 2 is the winner of this. I'm going to say I'm kind of disappointed in this episode a little bit because none of these jump out at me as like super awesome. But they're all okay. They're all pretty decent. So I'm going to say wine number 2, I'd definitely say is first place on the mid spectrum of things. Wine number 1 and 3, I'm going to tie for different reasons. You know, if you blended the two, might almost make a better wine. Wine number 1 has all that sweetness and viscosity to it. Wine number 3, it's decent. It's kind of nutty. Could use a little more sweetness and some fruit to it. It's kind of got a couple holes in it. So anyway, I think I'm allowed to take the paper bag off. I don't even know where Mike is.
I'll do the honors here.
Oh, that's so much better. We'll have to do this again. That was cool. All right. Did you have a chance to taste these?
Oh yeah.
What did you think of them?
Yeah, number 1's like pancake syrup,
Yeah.
for sure. And it was mostly checking them, make sure they weren't corked.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, so number 2. Okay, so number 2, let's go right into it. Number 2, like I said, I think could use some more time. It's a vintage port style from BC. It's a 2006 vintage, they're calling it Pipe. This is from Sumac Ridge. Sumac Ridge, pretty well-known winery, one of the kind of pioneers of the BC wine industry, and they've pushed a lot into getting BC where it's at. I've had the 05 Pipe, and I remember it standing out as this really neat dark chocolate. I think it displayed a little bit better than this one. Again, I think I like this one. I mean, trust me, any of these I probably wouldn't turn down. They're all pretty tasty. This one could almost use a little more sweetness, but interesting wine. Like I said, number 1 and 3, Well, let's see what number 1. Number 1 is Rollingdale, also 2006, and they're calling it their Portage. It's a fun play on words. Instead of saying port, it's their Portage or Portage or whatever they want to say. Decent wine, would go really well on your pancakes. Like I said, you couldn't handle too much of this, but a lot more fruit coming through than the other two. Okay, and wine number 3, Rivers Bend Winery. Now, for those of you who don't realize this, first of all, this bottle I think is like a $20 or $25 bottle, so you get a full bottle. Rivers Bend is located here in Surrey, South Surrey area, Highway 10 and 152nd. So if you happen in the area, check them out. A lot of people are like, there's wineries in Surrey? Anyway, there is. This one's here. It's a nice, kind of fun, sweeter style wine. Blind tasting. Like I said, it's kind of got that hazelnut. Almost comes across as like artificial cherry or kind of raisiny. Yeah, don't have too much more to say about that one, but yeah, like I said, I think Pipe's the winner. That was a lot of fun. Blind tasting the bag on my head. I think it gave me a real honest opinion about the wines. So, here's 3 BC port style wines you don't often see. See if you can check them out. Find the Pipe, lay it down for a little while, and enjoy it. So thank you so much for watching today. And that bag really made wine depretensiousized. See you on the next episode. Mike.
Later.
Have a good one.